Hi there, it's UK independent demonstrator Halsey here from slimandstylish.com. Thank you for joining me today. Today I've created this cute little note card with its own custom background, little grungy bit behind the goat, and I'm using the Way to Goat stamp set. This is from the Stampin' Up annual catalogue, and while it's cheesy, I find it really amusing. Happy birthday, you old goat, way to goat. But the stamp sentiment I'm going to be using today is you're the goat, greatest of all time, which I'm going to put at the bottom. And I'm going to show you how to create this sort of custom grungy background on this card. So to get started, you need a piece of Whisper White cardstock that is 8.5 centimetres by 12.85 centimetres. You want your ink pad, and I'm going to be using So Saffron because at the moment it happens to be my favourite stamp set. Not stamp set, ink pad. And you want a D block. Okay, this doesn't end up the same each time, so if you're planning to get sort of 4 or 5 cards that look identical, this isn't really the technique for that, but you can get some really fun effects from using this. So first of all, you want to open your ink pad. Okay. And you want to drop your block in it. Get the ink onto the block and transfer it onto the paper. Now this is going to look not very good, okay? But you just want this so that you can get the border of your actual stamp. Okay, so push it down really well. Pull it off, and as I said, it's not going to look fantastically great to start off with. Okay, so what you want to do now is you want to drop your block into your ink pad again, and this time you want to have your Stampin' Spritzer. Now you've got an idea where your frame is and you've already got the dark colour around the frame. You want to fill in the middle bit and it can be a little bit lighter. So I'm just going to take my lid off that, ink that up, and then I'm going to come a reasonable distance from the block so that when I stamp it, not here, you want to stamp it here so it goes over the whole block, and you want to do it 2 or 3 times, get it nice and runny. Okay, I did it 4 after saying 3, but you know, you want it nice and runny. And you want to drop it down like that. And what you don't want to do is hold it up over your card before you do it, otherwise you're going to get a blotch like this, which I don't like and I didn't want. Okay, so I could do another one, but instead what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this off, okay, and I'm going to let it dry. If you wanted more ink on here, you can always get more ink. You just do that again and then fill it back in again, okay? But I'm quite happy with this effect. I'm just not very happy with this. So instead, I'm going to get a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to pop the You're the Goat of All Time as an actual pop-up sentiment that covers that, because I'm really annoyed that that happened. But yeah, when you've got the ink on here and you've wet it, if you hold it up it will drip off, but I was holding it up to check on it. But you just want to pop it straight down. Lesson learned. So I have my sentiment. I did have my sentiment. I've got my goat. I've got my sentiment somewhere. There it is. Not doing very well today, am I? So I'm going to just grab a piece of scrap cardstock and I'm going to stamp my sentiment down using Memento ink. Okay. You're the goat of all time. It's just a fun stamp and fun set. So I'm just going to grab my mini guillotine and I'm just going to make that into a tag. So the whole card was 8.5, which is there. I'm going to take it and cut it at 6.5 centimetres. And also at, thinking 3 centimetres. Yeah, 3 centimetres it is. Yeah, that can go on there quite fine and it can cover up that little bit of a mess there. Okay, So I'm going to stick this onto my basic black cardstock. Ideally in the real world I would wait for this to dry because it's a bit damp, but I'm going to go ahead and stick that down. And you'll notice I'm putting the glue actually across where I have stamped, and that's because the paper starts to warp with the water. So as I stick it down, it will hopefully make it back straight again as it sticks to the card. Okay, another really good way of doing it is either leaving your block on top, which will make it, the weight will push it back down, or just pop a punch on. Okay, so while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm just going to push that over to the side, and I'm going to bring in the goat. So this was the goat I'm using, and I'm going to ink him up and stamp him out. Now there are no dies for this set, so you're going to need to fussy cut him. I actually already did it earlier, save you sitting around waiting for me to fussy cut him, so he's there. And the blends that I used was the light and dark smoky slate, and the light basic black. I also used the ivory pen for his horns, a little bit of granny apple green for what I presumed was the leaf of the flower coming out of his mouth, and Flirty Flamingo for the flower, but at the moment I'm just going to concentrate with these. And I'm going to come in with the light basic black to start off with, and I'm going to go over all of his fluffy pieces. And then I'm going to take the light smoky slate and I'm going to colour all over him and try and blend that in. It's not going to blend very well, and that's why I've got the dark one, but I just want to start with the light first. Okay, kind of replaying the drop of the ink in my head, and perhaps thinking perhaps I should have refilmed and started. But I think it's a good way of demonstrating that you just pop the block straight on the paper. When you wet it, it's going to get wet. And also, I'm not very keen on restarting videos. I think if I make a mistake, then it might be a mistake that someone else makes. So it's a good idea of showing it and hopefully preventing someone else making a mistake. So there we go. Justified. I'm continuing with colour in my goat. Don't forget his legs. Being very brave here. I think I should have changed the bullet tip for these legs because they're a little bit spindly. Okay, so once I've done that, you'll notice it didn't actually blend fantastically well. So I'm going to come in with the dark smoky slate, and I'm just going to do some little circles around there, and just up here. So basically wherever the basic black is, I'm just going over it with a smoky slate like that, and I'm doing it in little circles so that you get the actual blend going well. So it looks like a motley goat at the moment. And then you build the light smoky slate up over all of it, which is going to blend them all together quite nicely, and hopefully you can still see that's making it darker, and it's bringing all the colours in together. And I'm going to come back and do his spindly legs, but I'm going to do it with a bullet tip because I don't trust myself doing it with the brush tip again. I think I got off lucky without going outside the lines. The blends are very much like the ink pad in doing that technique. The more colour you put on them and the more you build them up, the different effects you're going to get. So if you're ever looking at it and thinking it's not quite right, like it wasn't with the light smoky slate and the basic black, just keep building, and then that will give you this sort of nice mottled effect, which is there. Okay, so I'm going to grab the ivory, and just do his little horns. A little bit of flirty flamingo. I was going to actually make his flower so saffron, but I thought it would just blend too much into the background and not stand out, so that's why I didn't. And the light granny apple green, and that finishes him off quite nicely. I'm now going to take this off the card, which as you can see has started to dry straight, so I'm quite happy with that. And I pop him over the top like that. That blob, it's just going to annoy me, and I know it's there, which is worse. Even when I cover it, I know it's there. So I want my dimensionals, which were on this table when I started this video. I'm doing really, really well. Can't see them, so I'm just going to grab a new pack. And then afterwards I'll also pick the stamp set up or something and find them under there. I have so many half packs of dimensionals because I just start using them at random times when I can't find the others. Shocker. So there's my goat, and I'm going to just offset him a little bit. And there you are. And finally, you're the greatest goat of all time. Let's pop that up. Pulled the backing off another dimensional, so I don't need 3, but I'm going to drop it on there, otherwise it's just going to lose its sticky anyway. Ta-da! It's gone! And then I've got a piece of So Saffron cardstock, which I'm going to layer underneath before I put it onto the card, finished card. So I'm in my Tombow. There's my card, which is a piece of thick Whisper White, which I cut in half and scored in half, so I've just folded it over and then burnish it properly so that it stays shut. And then I'm going to pop some Tombow on the back and glue this mat on there. So hopefully you've enjoyed this technique. It can be a bit of a messy one. You can get your fingers quite messy with it, but I quite like it. I think it's just an interesting bit on the background, and you can build it up to the colour you like or desire. You just need a block and a spritz pen, so it can be quite fun. All of the products you've seen in today's video are available to purchase from my website, slimandstylish.com. Just click on the header that says buy and it will take you to my store. If you have enjoyed this video, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. I will see you soon. Thanks everybody. Bye.